Hi, everybody. So, if you've been listening to me and Dorothy for a while, you may have gathered we don't always run with the crowd and follow all the hot trends. But as wellness consultants, we are often the phone a friend for people who are looking for thoughts and advice on the newest trend or fad or gimmick, all the ones that make headlines. So we thought today we would spotlight some of those trends to explain why we like them or don't like them. And just so you know, please keep in mind these are our opinions, and in no way should they substitute the advice of your own personal wellness coach or your qualified health professional. So, trends are, some newfangled idea, usually trying to do nature better than nature. Like when we want the benefit of negative ions from the ocean or the waterfall. It might not be practical to go to the ocean or go to a waterfall. So sometimes I think Dorothy actually said this to me the other day, we need a today's world solution rather than an old world solution for some of these therapies or trends. So let's dive right in. And some of these trends might make you laugh, others might intrigue you enough to give them a try. But we thought we'd just go over some things that have been catching our eye. Uh-oh. So here we go again, Dorothy. You're always up to something, Dorothy. What's going on? Are you with me? Hello?
What?
What? She's peeling something off.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry. I thought I would take this moment to catch a little nap. Sorry. I'll be right with you. Let me just
wake up.
wake up. All right. Where are we? What are we talking about?
We're talking about different trends, health trends, remember?
Right. Yep. Okay. I'm with you. I'm here. I'm with you. I'm
Okay.
present.
All
Got it
right.
all refreshed. I had a little nap.
Welcome. So, since you were already trying it out, evidently, before we're taping here, what are your thoughts on mouth taping?
I'm so glad you asked mouth taping because, as I'm sure you're all surprised about, I have thoughts.
There
I
you
have
go.
thoughts. Like Joy mentioned, I think I heard it in my dream. We as wellness professionals get asked about some of these trends a lot. So we see them a lot. So I have been seeing the mouth taping everywhere. And there's a special tape they make that you can put over your mouth so that it doesn't, hurt your skin or anything. You don't want to put duct tape on your mouth. So it's a special tape to help keep your mouth closed while you sleep. So here are my thoughts about that. Humans are designed to sleep with their mouth closed. Breathing through your mouth activates the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight. So think about when you're breathing through your mouth. When you're running, when you're really active, when you're stressed, when you're afraid, you're breathing through your mouth. That's what activates the sympathetic nervous system. Your hormones, your cortisol, your stress hormones are running rampant. Your digestion shuts off. The blood is all going to your extremities to get you ready to fight or flight, which is pretty much the exact opposite of what's supposed to happen when you sleep. When you sleep is all about parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system. That's when your body's repairing itself. All the digestion happens, the brain is repairing itself. So it doesn't make sense that humans are ever designed to sleep with their mouth open because that kind of goes against everything that we're supposed to be doing when we sleep. And I know for me, I don't get sick very often and I don't get cold very often, but when I do get a stuffy nose, and I'm trying to sleep. What makes it hard for me to fall asleep when I'm stuffy is that I'm trying to find a way to prop my mouth open so that I can breathe. That's the hard part is getting my mouth to stay open while I sleep in order to breathe. When you're falling asleep, sleeping with your mouth closed is the ideal way for humans to sleep so that we're really getting the most benefit from that rest and digest system. So if you're sleeping with your mouth open, for me, and I did use the Band-Aid as for a particular reason because we as a society tend to want to put band-aids on our symptoms rather than address the root cause of the symptom. So we're told to just take this drug or, do this thing to get rid of the symptom rather than finding out what's causing the symptom. And the same can be said for mouth breathing while you sleep. In a perfect world, what I would like to see is having people try and do a deep dive into why. Why are you sleeping with your mouth open? Since it's not the natural course of things for humans, there's got to be a reason, a physiological reason that you're sleeping with your mouth open. Maybe you have bad allergies and you're always a little stuffy or whatever the reason may be. What I would like to see is maybe being able to find out what's causing that and address the root cause. That being said, I think particularly in this case, it might be difficult to try and figure out why you're breathing through your mouth at night. So I'm going to say that for me, the mouth taping craze, while maybe not ideal, can be a very useful tool because that restful sleep is so important. It's so important to overall health. Like I said, that's when you do all your rest and digest. And so if you're not doing that while you're sleeping, you're going to have low energy the next day. You might have weight issues. I mean, there's so many things that can go wrong if you're not getting that restful sleep. So if the mouth taping is going to help train you to breathe through your nose as you sleep, then I'm going to have to support that. So while I may not give it a rousing 2 thumbs up, I do think it can be a very useful tool. So for those of you who are using it, awesome. And if it's helping you, I think that's fantastic. But maybe just try and figure out what's causing the problem to begin with rather than just slapping the Band-Aid on your mouth. Over to you, Joy. I was wondering, I've been seeing a lot of, like you mentioned, again, I think I dreamt it. You were talking about ions and waterfalls and the ocean and all. So I just, two of my favorite things. Anybody that's been either of those places, you know how it makes you feel to be in that negative ion space. And it just really, it's like recharging your battery. So in that light, I have seen a lot of talk about those ion foot baths. I know that you use them in your work, Joy, so I would love to hear your thoughts on those.
All right. Yes, the doctor I work for had done a lot of her own research, and it's something that she wanted to bring to our office. So I help patients all day long with the foot detox sessions. Just a little bit about our toxic load. I know Dorothy and I have talked about it before, but it's just so big, almost bigger than you can imagine. So the study that I found and I've used in some classes is old. It's from 2004. So I know the numbers are not right and they're probably higher, sadly. In 2004, they studied umbilical cord blood of newborns and found 287 chemicals, including 180 that are known to cause cancer in humans, 217 that are toxic to the brain and nervous system, and 208 that could cause birth defects or abnormal development. So,
And this is 20 years ago, and
yeah,
there are like 60,000 new chemicals out every year, something
right.
like that. So
So if a baby gets exposed, that shows that obviously adults walking around in the world are getting exposed. So that was one reason we brought it is the Ion Cleanse by AMD, and we'll put a link in the show notes. And I'm not a paid sponsor, but I just really become a big fan of it. So it's a foot bath. You use warm salt water. You just add a little bit of Himalayan salt to the process. That's what activates the ionizing. And there's a little array that goes in there and triggers a negative and positive ion cycle. That acts like billions of tiny magnets that attract toxins and draw them out of the body. So it's 30 minutes. You sit with your feet in the water. It's very relaxing and it just stimulates the body's detoxing pathways. I've seen results. I've seen dirty, disgusting foot baths after a patient is done. It's cool and disgusting at the same time. And as you always have taught me, Dorothy, our bodies detox all the time. We're sweating, or we should be finding ways to sweat, and we go to the bathroom every day, or we should be. And those things are how we detox on a regular basis. But if we can give it a little boost, that's important. So we're carrying that toxic load, and the exposure to medications, pesticides, heavy metals, cleaning products can really take a toll on our bodies. We've talked about Dorothy and I on this podcast have mentioned endocrine disruptors, and it's like all this stuff hides in the body. It finds fat cells to hide with because your body doesn't know what to do with it, and it can stay there until it gets released or until disease happens. So whatever we can do to move those toxins out, I think the detoxing foot bath is one of those ways to do that.
sounds amazing. So I would love to hear like the feedback you get from some of your customers. Are they like, what are some of the effects they're noticing?
A lot of them say, oh my goodness, I slept so great. It'll kind of last for a few days even after they have a session. There's a few clients, one in particular is getting off of chemotherapy. So, she had a lot of stuff racing through her body. And after about 4 sessions over 2 weeks' time, her puffiness went down, her energy was increasing, really an obvious change. And she told me, she's like, thank you for having me do this. I just feel better. Another gentleman, an older man, has been doing it couple times a week for a long time. And he's like, Joy, I think I need to talk to my doctor about getting off my thyroid medication. I've been doing the foot detox and I've been grounding. He said, I just feel different and I don't have the same symptoms I had. And I think I need to be off that medication. So, I was a fan of that idea and he's going to speak to his doctor and get weaned off however he needs to do that. I love what I'm seeing. And I
That's
personally have done it too, and I love how I feel.
excellent. That sounds so amazing. Yeah, I've done one years and years and years ago, and I remember the stuff that comes out of your feet. It's like, ew, that was in my body. So
Mhm.
yeah, that sounds amazing. So a great big yay for
Yes.
you then, yeah. It's like you said, these new age tools for old world problems. It's true. I mean, our bodies are designed to detox themselves. That's like you said, the liver, the sweat, all these things. We detox as we breathe, and like you said, we should be pooping daily. Pooping. Do I sense another podcast episode,
Could
possibly?
be. Everybody poops.
Everybody poops. Anyway, so yes, we're designed to detox. And I know, like in my work, I do a lot of detoxing, and there's so many people who are like, you don't need to do a detox. Your body's designed to do it. And I'm like, well, yeah, but your body's not designed to take on 60,000 new chemicals like every year. There's so much in our world that just is not designed to be dealt with adequately by your body. So our bodies are struggling to keep up with everything we do. So in a perfect world, would we just allow our bodies to do what they do best? Sure. But unfortunately, they're not up to the task anymore. But fortunately, we now have tools like this that can help us do the job that our bodies are just not designed to do adequately anymore. So that's great. So a big two thumbs up for the ion foot bath. I may have to do another one myself soon because that sounds really interesting.
All right. So, Dorothy, next one I know is kind of a hot button topic for you. So, I have family members who are vegetarian, but I would love to hear your thoughts on what is promoted all over the place as plant-based eating. Take a deep breath.
I'm grounding, I'm breathing. Are you sure you want me to talk about this?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and I'm getting better. There was a time when if someone said the words plant-based eating to me, the scenario did not go well for them because it is, like you said, become a real hot button issue for me. So I've been in this arena, nutrition, wellness, all that for a pretty long time, 40 plus years. Many, many years ago, plant-based eating used to mean plant-based, just like it says, meaning to some degree or another, your meal plans were predominantly plants.
Like salad.
Pretty
Like
self-explanatory term, plant-based.
vegetables, salads. Okay.
Yeah, so not vegetarian, not carnivore, not keto, but plant-based, eating a lot of fruits and vegetables. Great, right? One of the best nutrition advice that still, after all these years, that still sticks with me, and I tell people all the time, was in what Michael Pollan in one of his books, I don't remember which one, and he taught probably all of them. He says, eat food, and I actually change it to eat real food, not too much, mostly plants. Simple, valid, and if for some people it might be this amount of plants, some people might be this amount of plants, but everybody's unique, but certain amount of plants. Now I was scrolling through socials, probably Facebook, I don't really remember, and there was one of those ads that come up, and the poster was like so excited. They're like, you're not going to believe what I found. A plant-based croissant. Last I checked, croissants were made from wheat, which is a plant.
Hmm.
So how do you have a plant-based croissant? Aren't they all
Right.
plant-based? Yeah, they have butter and milk in them, so they're not vegan, but they're plant-based because they're wheat. So I started to notice everywhere plant-based. So it has now come to mean vegan, which I don't know how they got from plant-based to vegan. And now it's got this veneer of if it's plant-based, it's healthy. If it's plant-based, it's got no animal products in it at all, which makes it super healthy. For me, as somebody who has been talking about nutrition for a really long time, this whole plant-based thing and people, oh yeah, I eat plant-based, or yes, you should eat plant-based. And it makes me, I'm not gonna lie, Joy, it makes me a little bit cranky. It's now a meaningless term. What does it even mean anymore? It certainly doesn't mean what it used to mean, which was plant-based. It was self-explanatory. And now, of course, all the food companies, which will do anything to make more money, they start slapping plant-based labels on all their food as long as it's got some plant, vegetables in it, or if it's got no animal products in it, they're plant-based. Everything's plant-based, and people don't look any farther than that label. The box says like Beyond Burgers, plant-based. Doesn't mean it's good for you. There are things in those burgers that are come out of a lab. I wouldn't want to eat it. I mean, it's you make your own choices, but I wouldn't want to eat it. So they've taken this very adequate or appropriate label for a way to eat and made it completely meaningless and maybe even destructive because people think they're eating well just because it says plant-based. I hate even saying the words, and I've probably said it like 50 times in the last 5 minutes, and how you eat is up to you. I hope people eat healthy and are mindful of the choices they make when they eat, but whether you eat keto or carnivore or whatever, however you eat, that's your choice. I'm not trying to tell anybody how to eat, but human beings are not vegetarians. We're not vegans. We're not carnivores. We're omnivores. We're opportunistic omnivores, which means we're designed to eat whatever we can catch, find, or forage. Anything, be it plant, animal, mineral, vegetable, whatever we can find is what we eat.
It's so
That's our
cool.
biology is designed to digest and use all of these things. This need to be, hate to even say plant-based, but particularly if it means vegan, if you want to be a vegan, that's awesome. And I appreciate the whole philosophy behind it. I think vegans don't really understand what it means in terms of anyway, that's a whole nother episode. We can do I'm not going to talk about nutrition here because that's probably several podcast episodes to talk about what all these different meal plans and ways of eating mean. But yeah, plant-based, can we just not use the term plant-based anymore unless we're going to go back to using it the way it was originally designed to say your plate should have a lot of vegetables and fruits on it. That's all it ever was supposed to mean. Whatever else is on the plate doesn't matter.
And when you see something that's been processed, how can it possibly be plant-based?
Yeah, it's yes, exactly. And that's learn how to read labels, or better yet, buy foods without labels. Just be aware of what you're eating. And again, you might want to enlist the help of a professional, which may help shorten your journey onto a healthier eating pattern. If you're wanting to improve your eating, hire a professional, somebody who knows what they're doing in terms of food. And again, there is no one way of eating. There's no one diet plan that works for everybody. So everybody needs to kind of be their own food detective in terms of what works for them. So yeah, so just can we please stop using the term plant-based? Rant over.
All
I'm
right.
sorry, but Joy, you asked.
I did. I asked for it.
You asked for it. Back to you, Joy. Another trend I've been seeing everywhere is the cold plunge. And boy, wouldn't I like a cold plunge right around now. I'm kind of over here sweating like crazy. But so what are your thoughts on the ubiquitous cold plunge that we're
All
seeing?
right. So I have some friends that have gotten into it. One friend invited me to her house to try it. I haven't done that yet. I don't know if I ever will. It hasn't really been my thing. I think the point of it is to help with like muscle recovery and like after a workout, perhaps. But I want to go back to your book for a second, Dorothy, because you talk about hormesis. I just love that word.
Good word. It's a good
Good
word.
word. So, just quoting right from your book, hormesis, in essence, is the body's adaptive response to stressors. Early humans were constantly being required to adapt. Changes in temperature, periods without food, physical exertion and labor, breathing, fear, all those stressors kept their bodies functioning optimally. End quote. So, I think finding that way to find that sort of healthy stress, that hormesis, I think is one of the goals of the cold plunge. I'd rather find it in different ways. I just think it's too much of a shock. I haven't gone to that option, but I have a little funny story when I worked in a health food store. At first, I was like, oh, I didn't know if I would love this task, but then I worked my way up to really loving walking into the walk-in freezer when I had to go get products out of the freezer. And this is just a few minutes at a time. And I would bundle up and go in there. But then I got to a point where like, ugh, I don't want to bother putting on a jacket and a hat. I'm just going to go for it. And I felt really exhilarated from that. To me, that was like my idea of a cold plunge. So I haven't personally done the filling a tub with ice and climbing in. I just don't know if I ever will. But I have heard that it's really good for especially male athletes as part of their recovery therapy. I know my brother-in-law used to do that when he was playing basketball. They would make him do ice baths. But that's all I can really speak to as far as the cold plunge. Do you have any thoughts on it, Dorothy?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. It's like I have a friend and we've talked about like going to the lake in the winter and jumping in and things like that and never actually done it. And yeah, it's supposed to be really good for reducing inflammation and things like that. But, and again, the more I've been reading, I think you were right when you talked about it being great for men. I think women need to be a little bit more careful about just how cold they plunge. And I've seen things about where they shouldn't go too much below like, 65 degrees, something like that. So I think men and women are not, as Stacy Sims says, women are not small men. We're different. We're biologically different from men. And most of the research on things like this is done on men. So I think we need to be careful just to kind of across the board say this is a good thing for everybody when it might not be as good for women as men. But I do know that, I mean, I'll go even to the beach in the winter and put my feet at least in the ocean. And I do know that even in the spring, and here in Massachusetts, the ocean never gets really warm. And I'll go in sometimes when it's really cold. And it does. It feels like you're in the freezer. It feels really invigorating once you can get yourself to go in. So there are times when that shock of cold to some degree can feel really, I just feel like, and I know when I used to live in Connecticut and had horses and you go out to feed the horses in the middle of winter, I'd feel so invigorated, like a real pioneer woman going out there in the freezing cold, taking care of my livestock. It was kind of fun in some ways to get that really cold. But in terms of the strict cold plunge that people are talking about, I personally am not necessarily a huge fan, particularly for women. And I don't think I would want to do it. But I know, like, yeah, a lot of athletes after their big games, they all go sit in the ice bath. So if you enjoy it and it works for you, that's great. Just be aware if you're a woman, it might not be the best thing to go that cold. But like you said, let's try and get nature to do it for us. Like when I wrote in my book about hormesis, one of the reasons I wrote about it is because we have become a society of keeping everything comfortable.
Climate controlled everywhere.
Climate control. We keep our temperature up to 72 in the winter and we keep it down to 72 in the summer and it's always the same temperature and we're never allowing our bodies to adapt to these stressors like we're supposed to. Like I don't, like I have to turn the heat up when the granddaughters come, but I keep my house at 60 degrees in the winter. I have fans. I don't have air conditioning. So I'm here sweating today in this July day. So yeah, I think if we can allow our bodies to have a little bit more of that discomfort on a regular basis and allow them to be required to adapt to that discomfort. Yeah, nobody wants to sleep when it's 90 degrees. I get that, but it's okay to be uncomfortable sometimes.
Mhm.
It's okay. I'll go outside without putting my shoes on or anything, just in the winter, just for a little bit, just to kind of like, oof, that feels good. Then
Right.
run back in and drink my hot coffee. Yeah. So allow your body to have that, to require it to have that need to adapt. That's
Good.
kind of my thoughts on the cold plunge thing. I don't know. I think I got a little off on a tangent, shockingly there, but okay.
That's fine. That's okay. So it's funny, this hadn't occurred to me till this morning when I was reviewing our thoughts. Almost every trend we brought up today has an essential oil to support it. While they're not trendy, they are kind of becoming a new little fad, but they've been around since the beginning of time, so they're not brand new. But I feel like you and I, because it's so second nature to us, we might reach for an oil to help open our airways to breathe easier instead of a mouth taping, or we might find oils to help us with detoxing and cooling, even not that it would be a cold plunge, but you can get a cooling relief from some oils. And they're just like second nature to us. They become something we go to. So I just wanted to say that. And they are actually literally plant-based. That's all they're
Yeah.
doing is plant ingredients.
I was just gonna say here they're kind of the OG plant-based. And did I just say that? Did I just say plant-based in a good way?
You did.
I think I did. Yep, they're the original gangsta in terms of plant-based. And they are like, yeah, they've been around pretty much as long as plants and humans have been around in some form or another. But when, I don't know, dare I say it, Rockefeller and all his wisdom got rid of natural wellness, they sort of fell by the wayside as quackery. But they are making a comeback. They are becoming trendy again. So they are, and I guess, like you said, they are a little bit of a trend now. And it's true. You can use our essential oils for a lot of the things we talked about here today. So I guess that's it for today. So if you ever want to try any of these oils, just drop a comment. We'd be happy to help you out. I would like to know, and I think Joy is with me on this one. What trends do you love? Is there trends that we missed out on that we didn't talk about today that you would like to share with us? What trends do you love? Which ones do you kind of scoff at? What's worked? What hasn't worked? Is there possibly a trend you now want to try that maybe you didn't know about? I would love to hear. Let us know in the comments.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, share this with a friend, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Thanks for coming.